Good morning and welcome everyone to the second in a series of Cloudstreet Webinars, cracking the 5G business case code. This follows our first in the series focused on the technology behind network slicing. Of course, network slicing will be central to this talk as well, but with an emphasis on the use cases and business models that are going to drive it into the future. From our perspective, any discussion of the promise of 5G carries with it an implication of network slicing. And as we are going to discuss in this morning's webinar, this is as much or more about 4G as it is 5G. The way we look at it, and up to 2030, 4G will be the core of mobility, and 5G will be almost like 4G with rocket packs up until then. If you're just joining us, I want to take a brief moment to introduce ourselves and the format and agenda of this presentation. My name is Brendan Walsh, and I'm the head of marketing at Cloudstreet, a Finland-based startup first incubated at Nokia. I'm very pleased to be joined by our keynote speaker and a true visionary in this fascinating area, Mika.skarp, the CTO and founder of Cloudstreet. Mika comes to us following nearly 2 decades of work pioneering innovative telecom business models. An executive engineer at Nokia, both in Finland and later in Silicon Valley, Mika was the founding president of the WiMAX Forum, a consortium of companies and business leaders focused on supporting and promoting the standard. While at Nokia, he headed up Village Connection, a novel program dedicated to expanding wireless coverage in remote regions in the developing world. Welcome, Mika. Our webinar today will run for approximately 40 to 45 minutes, but we invite your questions throughout, and we're going to field any answers that you may, questions that you may have in chat. We'll also provide some time at the end for a brief Q&A if there are any follow-up questions. Just before handing over the controls to Mika, I want to take a minute or so to set up the topic and earn my keep, as it were. Despite all of the talk about 5G and the business bonanza it's going to create for mobile operators, the industry is only just beginning to look at the business cases for its key components. And the first among these, from our perspective, is network slicing. So in this webinar, we're going to be looking at the numbers, the use cases, business and financial benefits of this technology. And seeing what are some of the challenges of bringing it out of port. Indeed, never has there been more pressure upon carriers to keep costs low, make an airtight business case, and show clear return on their infrastructure investments. And never before has there been such a push for MNOs to adopt key technologies like network slicing. No wonder the pace has been slow. Certainly, it's up to the innovators like us selling the technology with the promise of new business models to clearly show the business benefits of these next generation capabilities. What new service categories will be born and how they're going to be efficiently and cost effectively deployed and managed. And most importantly, what are the expected returns on these investments in a reasonably conservative scenario. So that's what we're all about today. With that, I'd like to hand the controls over to Mika. Again, please feel free to ask any questions in the GoToMeeting chat box, and we'll do our best to address them as we go along. We'll also have a short Q&A at the end. Welcome and good morning, Mika.
Good morning, and thank you, Brendan, for the nice introduction. I'll start with a little bit of a background. So Cloudstreet is a Nokia spin-off. We have been in this network slicing business already over four years. And our approach, that how do we see the network slicing, is from the customer, so from the end user perspective, that how can we provide a different service from the one network to meet the customer expectations. We have been piloting this for over 3 years here in Finland. We have met tens of mobile operators around the world, and then we have also met hundreds of end user companies and individuals around the world. So it's a very bold statement, but that I claim that we are really the experts when it comes to the network slicing. Network slicing is a technology that can be implemented on 4G, and it can be implemented on 5G. It's not about the radio interface, but it's about changing the business model, providing additional features for the mobile operator to meet those different needs that the different user groups have. But let's take first a look at that. What is the network slicing? Sorry, the first look at the challenge. So the British Telecom is saying that there is a struggle to find the business case for the 5G, or the network slicing in general, that what it is. And there is a very strong sentiment in the industry at the moment that when moving forward, the cost reduction is the only way to justify the investment. And it's even clearer in the Deutsche Telekom statement that the financial department is very skeptical. And when we look at the history, this really makes sense, because that when we moved from 3G to 4G, we got a significantly better working network. But from the financial perspective, there was actually no change. So the revenues, they have been flat since the last 10 years, and we have not been able to really monetize the technological improvements what we have in the network. And now the network slicing will actually change that. So now we have an opportunity to do things differently. So let's now take a look at it, at what it is. So in the current network, everything is treated the same way. So it doesn't matter what kind of application you are using, the network is not actually aware what kind of needs you have. So there are three different kind of ways of capacity. There is a downlink capacity, uplink capacity, and then in some cases symmetric capacity. And then also the delay plays an significant role when thinking about the value. And this is the way that we like to kind of see the world. This is the way that we see that the network can and should be organized, that we have actually different slices for best effort, capacity sensitive, and delay sensitive traffic. And when we actually organize the network like this, then we have also the different price points for the capacities. Inside these groups, we can then have a different capacity subcategories, like uplink, 10 megabit uplink for the TV productions, or 5 megabit downlink for watching an 4K video. The difference between the capacity sensitive and delay sensitive traffic class is that there we have an SLA, but in the delay sensitive we have also SLA for the delay variation. So in the capacity sensitive class, you are actually buffering the traffic a little bit. In the delay sensitive, you are not buffering the traffic. And in any cases, there is a need for the best effort traffic class. So in one sentence, network slicing is providing logical networks, several logical networks from the one physical network. The other way to look at it is that if we see the capacity from the one tower, one E node B, so we can create a situation where we have half of the capacity is reserved for the best effort. Then we have an public safety slice, so logical network for public safety, and then slice for the IoT, and then for the IPTV. And because these are logically separated from each other, they have a different characteristics. So we can also price them differently. And the Cloudstreet technology, what it actually does is that if there is no public safety users, then that capacity is available for the best effort users, or we can temporarily use it for the IoT or IPTV use cases if there is a more demand on the capacity than there is a supply. But that's the kind of that's really the fundament functionality of the network slicing. But now we leave the technology aside, and we go to the business model side. So there is a promise that there is a significant growth on revenue when we move from the current network to the network's slicing situation. And it's actually very logical that if we don't do any change, so if we keep providing and best effort, we are calling it a class B. If we keep providing the best effort capacity to our users, nothing is going to change. Customers, they are used to the cost level what they have today, and they will actually keep paying the same amount of money every month to the carrier than they are doing today. And because we have on every single country, on every single market, we have a competition, so then actually the prices tend to decrease rather than increase, as we have said. And having that in mind, the justifying a significant investments to the network are very, very difficult to do. If we want to have a growth, and that's what the industry really needs, we have to differentiate, and we have to provide a different kind of a products that we can sell. There is an unmet need, as I said in the beginning, that we have met hundreds of the companies that would like to have something better than best effort. They would like to actually replace their existing proprietary networks or come up with a completely new offering for their customers using a mobile network, but the way that there is actually a capacity. There is an SLA for the capacity. When doing this, we will see a significant growth. The 36% growth is not actually that much if you think about it from the network capacity perspective. It means that something like 20%, 30% of the total amount of capacity should be put into the C and D classes, so the capacity and delay sensitive classes. So the change is, from the capacity perspective, it's not really that much. And then here I'd like to also note that during the 5G era, there will be an E class, so basically mobile edge computing will come into the play. And then we have other services as well, what we can sell on top of the capacity and delay sensitive connections. This slide is actually the one that explains that why the network slicing is so fundamental change and why it's so mandatory to get to start using it in the mobile networks. But then what to do? What are those kind of next steps that what we should take in the network slicing business? So it's also, when you follow the news, there are all kind of use cases proposed, and I think it's a little bit even confusing that those use cases that are proposed are fairly almost kind of a science fiction type of a thing. So we are talking about autonomous cars, we are talking about remote surgery. Those kind of things, they will most likely, they can come, but they are not coming, next year, and not even, in 3 to 4 years, maybe not even 10 years. But at the same time, we have use cases that are ready, that we have everything in place. The only thing that what we have to do is to start selling the capacity with SLA from the current 4G networks. So and those are the use cases that we will actually focus today, later in this presentation, something that we can get started today. But then we have also use cases that are kind of a near-term use cases. There is something missing, something is it's not just create a product and start selling, but we need to have an additional hardware, or some alliances need to be built. We are calling them near-term things that can happen in the 2 to 3 years, and also it would make sense to start developing those things right now, but understanding that the revenue is not coming during 2018, but it will come maybe 2019, 2020. But this is also something that I like to highlight, that when talking about the network slicing, we should not focus only on those science fiction type of things that are coming in the 10 to 15 years. This week we are actually running a Slush conference here in Finland, Helsinki, and I will be talking about autonomous vessels. So there is an actually test area between Finland and Sweden. That's something that's going to happen, but it's not going to happen 2018 or 19. It's an interesting topic, but not the focus for the business right now. So this is the terminology that we are using, the frame, that how we are analyzing the different use cases. We have developed over 20 different use cases for the network slicing, and now we will go through only a couple of them. But if you are interested, please contact us, and we can share also the rest of the stuff. But here in this our framework, we start from the value. So what are we doing? What is the physical real life problem that we are solving? Then what is the value architecture? Who are related there? Who needs to be involved? And then the value, how the money is actually flowing in this value chain. And then finally, that how big opportunity we are talking about. This looks a little bit complex, might be also a little bit complex, but we think that this actually gives a very, very comprehensive picture that what the use case is all about. And then when going through this exercise and trying it out in the real life, then you learn how to sell it, and you learn how to do the different things. But hey, let's get to the first one. So the first one is a fixed wireless. So as we know, there is a lot of areas that they don't have a fiber, and it's not economically feasible to create a fiber to every single house. Here, the point being that all the access to the internet happens today over the radio interface. It's either Wi-Fi or it's a cellular interface. But basically, all the devices that we are using, they are connected to the network over radio. It's not really that much of a difference if it's an Wi-Fi or the cellular, but what makes the difference is that how this eNode B or wireless Wi-Fi access point is connected to the network. So Wi-Fi access points, they have a typically fairly low bandwidth, and then these eNode Bs, they have a fiber. So fixed wireless providing a capacity from the base station to home, and serve that Wi-Fi access point by the SLA guaranteed cellular backhaul makes a lot of sense, and it's a lot of cost savings, a lot of new opportunities. But in this frame, so what's the value proposition? What's the value architecture? The finance, the sellings, the slice, scorecard. Is it easy or difficult thing to do? So value proposition is very, very straightforward. As said, we have a lot of areas that are not covered by fiber, and they will be never covered by fiber because it's so expensive to lay the cable into the ground. So providing an SLA guaranteed connection from the mobile network reduces the cost a lot, and basically we can serve almost every household in any given country, at least in the Western countries and all developed countries. The requirement is that you have an 4G coverage for that area, and that's, as we know, it's a very well accepted and widespread technology around the world. So that's the value proposition. And then the slicing, what it will do is that you can actually sell a 5 megabits connection, you can sell 10 megabits connection, you can give a different kind of services on top of the connection, and have the pricing accordingly. Value architecture is also simple. It's an pure mobile operator product. So mobile operator owns the network. That the billing is done using the typical methods, so there is no change there, and the user experience is the same that what it is over the fiber network. The value of the finance, how the money flows, well, it comes from the customer. Customer is paying the service that's existing on the fixed side, and then the cost. If we are really fast, or if we are really successful building this solution, then we will need a couple of new eNode Bs. Well, that's a happy problem that we end up with the capacity problems because of this. But otherwise, it's a very low additional OPEX, and you can run it. And the customers, we know it from Finland, that customers actually love it. It's a significantly better solution than ADSL, for example. From the slice perspective, this is a typical scenario. It's a capacity sensitive slice, but we can also then sell on top of the system, we can sell the delay sensitive use cases. From the scorecard perspective, it's easy to do. That you have the product already available, and everything is there. You have a network, you have the devices, I mean the wireless routers. So it's just start basically selling it. And from Finland, I can say that the customers really love it. Market potential, what we see or what we have found out is that by 2023 it's something around 20 billion. So these are the global numbers, and then this is related to every use case that you can then adjust it how they relate to each other. So this is the framework, and this is the way we are analyzing the different use cases, how we are seeing the world. So let's jump to the next one. Here we have the IPTV, so a solution where the mobile operator has an IPTV service in the product portfolio. So the IPTV delivered over the network, it's done, and at the moment it's actually sold to those customers who has a fiber connection or very good copper connection. But even in those cases, there is a problem that when you are watching a TV and then somebody else in the household starts downloading something, it might be that the TV capacity is interrupted. I think we all have an experience that we are running a webinar at home, and then somebody else starts to do something, downloading the game or watching the TV, and that will actually ruin our webinar experience. In LTE network, we can actually separate the different traffics, so that even so that they are in the one connection, inside that connection we can use different channels for different applications. So when selling the IPTV on top of the fixed wireless, we actually get a better solution than the fixed over the fixed network. But so the value proposition here is that how to provide a linear TV type of experience over internet, and there we can, using the mobile network is actually more reliable than the fixed connections. Technology control, if we assume that operator has this has the IPTV product in-house already and it's sold to the customers, then the system is already in place. So basically what you have to do is that you have to make the agreements about the content and then delivering over the IPTV platform, and then using the mobile network as a distribution channel. Customer control is 100% in the mobile operator. The value chain is basically the customer is paying the bill. You have all the needed gears in the network, so IPTV platform and then the mobile network, and then the outgoing money is about the content. That's what you are buying from the content providers. The technology from the slice perspective is a capacity sensitive thing, and a scorecard, assuming that we have the IPTV technology in-house, it's very easy. Customer satisfaction is much higher than today using any technology, and the market size is quite huge. It's an almost 100 billion annually 2020-21 according our sources. So having the fixed wireless at the bottom and then selling the IPTV on top of it. Other use cases that what has a similar kind of a logic is, for example, for the small and medium-sized enterprises, the virtual meeting tools. They can be also some gaming improvements. Gaming is basically the same, but there the slice that to be used is actually the D class, so that delay sensitive is the one to go there. But as said, if you are interested about those, we are more than happy to further discuss with you. But let's move on to the next one. Public safety. This is a classical network slicing case, so that we reserve some capacity from the network to be used by the public safety organizations. So basically police, fire department, and the first responders, so that they have an access to the certain slice in the network. But if they are not using that capacity in the network, then somebody else can actually use it. The value proposition here, it's interesting because at the moment these organizations, they have their proprietary voice connections, so P25 or Tetra networks, and they have started to use regular data connections to connect to their applications. And at the moment there is a very strong development of public safety applications, especially in the United States because of the FirstNet, but it's also happening in the Europe. So we are seeing more and more applications that are designed for public safety. But then you can't really rely on those applications that if if the network slice is not provided for them. Of course, then the alternative is to build a completely own broadband network for the public safety, but that's far too expensive. And then also what we have seen in Tetra, it doesn't keep updated. So if it's in proprietary, it's not going to be updated accordingly. So it makes sense to use the public network, but you need to have a slice there. So value proposition here is a kind of a two ways to get lower cost compared to the proprietary network, to get the lower cost broadband network, and then also enable the new applications to be used in the public safety. Value architecture, it's a little bit more complex because here the applications that are developed, they are not developed by the mobile operator. The actual tools that are used, so for example body cameras, they are developed by somebody else than the mobile operator. So the control is not only in the mobile network or mobile operator hands. The financial value is then a fairly straightforward. And on the other hand, that these public safety organizations, they will pay a fee for this usage of the network, and also when creating this kind of a slice for them, that even if nobody is using the slice, then there is some monthly cost for the public safety community, and then if they are using it, then there is an additional cost based on the use. The selling slices, so basically we have two different kind of application classes. So there's a capacity sensitive applications, and then there are delay sensitive. For delay sensitive, a good example is a body camera. So basically, if you want to gather evidence, or you want to have kind of a controlling that what the officer is doing on the field, so then the body camera, there can't be any delay. Capacity sensitive is, for example, if you want to download a map, or let's say that the drawings of some building, if you want to upload some evidence that you have gathered from the field, and so far. And these different capacity classes are used by the same device, same primary device, so that the officers and the guys, they don't have to carry several devices. So they have only one device. It has a multi-purpose, and then based on what kind of applications they are using, we change the slice in the network accordingly. We are scoring this an advanced just because of there are some products or some equipment that doesn't exist at the moment on the marketplace. A good example is a body camera. There are some body cameras, but actually none of them are connected to the network all the time. And then also this agreement that how these public safety operators will actually connect to them, or what kind of agreements there needs to be in place between the public safety actors and then the mobile operator. The market is a fairly large. It's at 78 billion globally by 2026. There are about 70 million public safety employees on the planet. So that gives you some kind of an idea that what is the opportunity in your own country. So then the broadcasting. Here the reason using the broadcasting here as an example, you see that the market itself is not actually that large, but this is something that we have been doing in Finland already over three years. The value proposition is that TV productions, they are now competing against the Netflix and YouTube, and the way that they can actually compete is to do more live and more local productions. But the problem is that when you do that, the alternative, the traditional way of delivering the signal from the field to the studio is using the satellite. And satellite is very expensive. It's a bulky and it's a time consuming to set up. So the broadcasting or production companies, they just love to use the mobile network, but because at the moment it's best effort, they can't actually rely on it. So I guarantee you that if you go in your country to speak with any production company, they will buy this solution immediately. There is no doubt about it. We have talked to RTL, BBC, then the production companies in Finland, Brazil, in the United States, and they just love it. It will make their work so much easier. And this is a very good example of the IoT use case. Here the value architecture or value architecture is completely in the mobile operator's hand, so that's fully controlled by the operator. Nothing new is actually needed. Then you charge the production company, and then you actually keep the revenues yourself. There is no additional OPEX. There is no well, I should not say there is no additional capex, because you have to implement the dynamic profile controller into the network, but that's in our opinion a fairly small addition to the capex that what is required. The slice that to be used, it's a D class, so it's a delay sensitive. We are using a lot of uplink, not downlink. It's easy to do, easy to sell, and it will actually then show the way that how network slices are sold, so that even so that the business potential is relatively small, it's a well-defined segment, easy to sell, giving the idea that what kind of functions you need to have inside your organization that you are able to monetize the network slices. And last but not least is then the OTT. So this OTT is not really an appreciated word among the operators, because they are taking all the revenues and then providing all the load into the network without giving any money to them. Actually building the infrastructure, maintaining the infrastructure, and so on. Here, the value proposition, what we see is that using the network slice, we can actually make videos starting faster, and then we can reduce the need of buffering. So basically meaning that we don't need to deliver, let's say, like Netflix is doing, that they are delivering that the buffer size is 5 minutes. So we can reduce the buffer to the, let's say, 15 seconds or so. So when you actually stop watching a video, then the less capacity is wasted than what it is today. So we have actually the value for the OTT provider, and then value for the operator. Technologically, it means that we need to have a trigger in the end device. This is because of the net neutrality requirements, that the consumer needs to be in charge what kind of a services he's using, what kind of a slice he's using from the network. Financial value, it's basically coming from the fact that you will have more your customers will be more satisfied because the videos will start actually running faster. There is some indication that OTT players could actually share their revenues with a mobile operator if this kind of a service was available. That example is actually coming from the United States. There are also some other arguments saying that it's not the case. selling the slice. So here we are talking about the capacity class, and then it's basically the downlink. Scorecard, it's something advanced. It's something that we should start working right away, but there needs to be an agreement between the OTT provider and the network. So that's why it's yellow. Market is large. It's increasing and providing an good revenue opportunity. So for these kind of use cases, you will actually build the complete business case for the network slicing. So going into the details, going into the use case, and then piling them up, and then you actually get the business case for the network slicing. If we put these on the timeline, so fixed wireless and IPTV, we can start right away. We have everything what we need to start selling these products and enjoying the additional revenue. OTT is something that we need to negotiate, but also from the technological perspective, everything is there. That's what is needed. The same goes with the broadcast. For the web conferencing, that's something that we see coming a little bit later. It's basically the same thing with the OTT, but that hasn't been discussed so much. So we believe that the web conferencing companies are not aware of this kind of opportunity. Public safety is something where we need communication between the public safety organizations and the operators. So that's also something that is not coming 2018 in most of the countries. In the United States it will, but should be paid attention. Industrial automation, that's a kind of a little bit of a scientific thing, but has been discussed and is providing some new opportunities in the future. Industrial AR, that has been now last couple of days, it has been heavily criticized that it's overhyped and it's never going to happen. I believe that it will, and we have done a very nice demo about it, and we really see the value of that. It's not here yet, but it's not scientific either. Health tech is also a similar kind of thing. This is actually one those kind of use cases that will make the most of the savings, but it's not here yet, and it's not the reason actually to start network slicing. It's something that we can, when we learn how to do it, when we have all the processes streamlined, and then when getting the health in, then it will actually deliver a lot. Autonomous cars. Autonomous cars will be on the roads before 2025. They will be the first generation autonomous cars that are having several radars, a lot of video cameras, and they are doing all the decisions inside. We are actually seeing that when we start then cost reducing autonomous cars, more and more network capabilities will be taken into the use, and we can reduce the number of radars and cameras into the cars. It's gonna happen, but not in the next coming years from the network perspective. And then vessels and trains and so on, that they are there, but not in the near future. So we are now summarizing that what we have learned during this 40 minutes or so. So the first finding is that the 4G networks will be around the next 13 years. 5G networks will, if the rollout will start 2020, so somewhere between 2023, 2025, we will see a significant coverage and significant amount of devices supporting the 5G. But even then, 4G networks will be around, and that's the kind of the workhorse for the mobile networks on the 20s. The network slicing can be actually done already today using the 4G networks. The revenue opportunity is real in network slicing. So we have shown those use cases, and as said, that we have several others. But the key is to start utilizing those opportunities right now. It will be a learning process, and it's a completely different thing to sell a slice compared to the SIM card. So when you are selling a slice, you really have to go into the customer need, understand the customer situation, what kind of capacity, what kind of additional features are needed there. So basically, we are dealing with the downlink capacity, uplink capacity, symmetric capacity, and the delay, and in jitter if you like. It has been proven that there is an unmet need on the market for the slicing. So it's basically something that you can start commercializing today. Well, I will stop here, and I will hand it over to Brendan. Thank you for your attention, and as said, let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Mika, and thank you all for joining us today for this webinar. We noticed that some attendees came in a little bit later, so we just wanted to remind you that in case you missed the beginning, we will be providing a link to the recorded video of this presentation, which we'll send to you by email. By all means, feel free to share it with colleagues, family, friends, or anyone that you think that might be interested. Also, and as mentioned, all attendees will be sent our recently published white paper, the User-Defined Network Slicing in Practice. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me or Mika. His email address is listed on the last slide of the deck, and Mika, you can jump to that. mika.skarp at cloudstreet.co, or Twitter, or any of the usual suspects, or me, Brendan, brendan.walsh at cloudstreet.co. Additionally, we're happy to mention that we've been invited to take part in the TM Forum in Singapore next week, where as a part of the Catalyst program, that's a novel technology accelerator program, we'll be involved in a promising and indeed disruptive technology demonstration, including a new business model for network slicing mall connectivity with retail brand sponsored data. There's a blog post about that that happened last week, and we also sent that out as a part of our newsletter last week. Very interesting use case there. If you're interested in learning more about how Cloudstreet can help you integrate network slicing into your network and discuss possible use cases and or proofs of concept, we'd be happy to set up a face-to-face meeting, so you can reach us at the above coordinates. And so with that, we just want to thank you all once again from all of us at Cloudstreet. We would like to wish you a wonderful day and a great rest of your week. Thank you.